weekly conversation. I am really excited about this conversation because it really ties in to October's frequency forecast. If you haven't listened to my forecast, I invite you to go and check it out because the intention behind these monthly forecasts are to help you to navigate the monthly energies in a more confident way, with clarity, with self-assurance. So I will put the link in the description so that you can head on over once you're done listening to this video. If you are new to my world, I want to welcome you. My name is Julie Sasha Cloutier. I am the CEO of Divine Femme, which is a coaching and mentoring business for women who know that they came here to create impact. They have this soul urge to create impact in this lifetime. So they see themselves as light workers, as way showers, visionaries, creatives, dream weavers. And they want to learn how to start navigating life with more purpose, with more impact. And that's when I come in. I use intuitive numerology and energy healing to help them break through glass ceilings, to help them reconnect with their purpose, to help them rediscover their gifts and their zone of genius. And so I wanted to really dive into this topic, which is all about how to live in complete surrender and trust when life isn't going according to plan. Okay. And like I said, it really ties into this month's energy and also 2023's energy. In numerology, there is such a thing as universal cycles. Right now, we're in a universal year 6, and we are in a universal month 7. Okay. And next year, the universal year energy is to be a 7. So October is like the prequel to 2023. And that's why I want to talk about trust and surrender and how to bring that into your life when things are not going according to plan, right? When shit hits the fan, what do you do? How do you do this? Okay. So being a heart's desire 7 and having the karmic lesson 7, I have this code in my chart that has brought me so many important life lessons. And it's all about trust. It's about surrendering. It's about faith. It's about spiritual depth, right? And what I wanted to dive into is how it's really easy for us to surrender in life when everything is going well, right? So when, your relationships are thriving, you're feeling loved, you're feeling cherished, you're feeling connected, or if your career or your business is successful and everything is just flowing and you feel like you are creating this really deep impact, or when your body has this health and you're just feeling this vitality and you're able to enjoy the physicality of life. When everything is flowing, it's easy to let go of the wheel, right? A bit, and surrendering. But how good are you to surrender when things start to unravel in your life? And that's the conversation that we need to have, because that's where it is the most important for you to start trusting and surrendering when things aren't going your way. So this would look like your business isn't thriving like you wanted it to be. Your relationships are not as harmonious and loving as you would love for them to be. Your body is not in that optimal health, right? You're having issues, you're having ailments that are showing up. So how do you actually bring in that trust and that surrender when all of this is unraveling before your eyes, right? How do you do this? And this is such an important conversation because it happens to all of us. And it is how we react in these moments of uncertainty, of frustration, of confusion that will dictate what's going to happen next, right? So October right now, and then 2023, is teaching us how to navigate these uncertainties, this where you have self-doubt, where you're not sure which way to turn, with more grace and more confidence and more ease and more compassion as well. So, can you surrender when things are not going well, right? Can you start trusting that you're going to be guided, right, into this new unfolding of yourself, even if you don't have any tangible proof, right? Can you release or let go of any expectations that you had? Because sometimes we have these goals and we have these visions, and it's like in our mind we saw it going this way. But are you able to release these expectations of how it was supposed to happen, right? And trust your higher self's guidance, right? So surrendering isn't so much about trusting the universe or trusting others or trusting the system. It's not that, or trusting the strategy if you have your own business. It's about trusting yourself, right? And this is not the easiest thing for us to do, especially if we were programmed not to. If we were programmed to just follow suit, right? This whole trusting ourselves is just foreign to us. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel safe. And that's why it can be extremely scary and challenging and difficult to allow the universe to hold you and to guide you, right? It's about your ability to see the breadcrumbs, right? And to follow the trail, right? It's about trusting that you came here to experience and to share your magic, your message, your zone of genius, right? And, for the longest time, I thought that surrendering meant giving up. It meant giving up on my dreams, giving up on my goals, on my visions, right? So instead, what I would do is that I would hold on even tighter, right? I would tighten my grip. And I see a lot of women doing that when things are not going their way, or they're not unraveling the way that they thought it was going to unravel, right? So they hold on tighter, right? They tighten their grip. So for me, what I figured out, because years ago I went through a huge burnout, and I remember, and I've told this story before, I was sitting in my backyard and it was a beautiful sunny day, and I was looking up at the sky, and I had done everything that I was told to do in order to overcome this depletion, right? This energetic depletion that I was going through, and nothing was working. I was just feeling worse and worse and worse. And so I was sitting in my backyard and tears were just streaming down my face, and I looked up at the sky and I said, that's it. Like, I'm surrendering, right? I'm letting go, because what I'm trying to do right now, everything I'm trying to do is just not working. And what I realized at that moment is that it was about letting go of an old version of me that was holding me captive, right? It was standing in the way of living a fulfilled and purposeful life, right? So thinking that you're in control is like the biggest illusion that we could ever buy into, because we're not, right? So my efforts of trying to control like everything that was happening to me was coming from a place of fear, of conditioned fear that was born from life experience. And these life experiences, what they had looked like for me was where I witnessed others at a very young age who were out of control. And that scared me. So what I thought I needed to do is, because I witnessed these people out of control, then to me, the logical thing to do was to be in control, right? So this was my way of protecting myself. And I see a lot of women do this if you've experienced this, where you're at a young age and you saw, people around you just not in control, losing it, right? Being very irrational, very reactive, then the complete opposite of that is, well, I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen and I'm going to control everything. And you thinking that you're in control, like I said, is the biggest illusion that you could ever buy into, right? So when I was a child, I didn't feel safe around these people who were very reactive, who were out of control. And so I didn't feel safe. And in order to feel safe as a teenager and in my 20s and my 30s, I became more controlling, just trying to control everything. But what I didn't understand is that I didn't need to do that because I was safe. I am now safe, and so are you, right? There's no reason for me or for you to try to control your environment, right? So to me, the way that I see surrender, like true surrender, the true meaning for me, how it resonates, is that it means to release any efforts or any attempts to force things, right? To push things into place. The vision I'm getting is my grandmother and I used to, and I talked about this on my IG account. My grandmother and I used to create puzzles, right? We used to have the 1,000 piece puzzles. She used to make me laugh so much because she would try to force certain pieces in a position and they weren't fitting. She was attempting to force things where they didn't belong. And my joke to her was like, do you want me to take out the hammer again, right? To kind of put that piece in there. And sometimes we do that. We just to feel safe, it's like we try to force things to work out. It's like, this has to work out, right? Because if it doesn't, I'm going to feel so unsafe. I'm going to feel unstable and I can't. And I don't know how to trust and I don't know how to surrender. So this is better for me. But we fool ourselves believing that that's the best thing. And what happens is that we force our way onto a path, into a direction that just wasn't meant for us. And we'll soon find out that we need to get off that path, right? We need to get back on track. So what this means is that what we need to start doing, right? And I want you to stick with me because at the end, I'm going to share an affirmation, right? That's going to allow you to open yourself up and start trusting for each life path number. Okay. So I want you to stick to the end. So what all of this means is that if you have the tendency to want to control everything because you just don't feel safe and things just need to work out that way because you have a hard time trusting and surrendering, what we need to start working on is opening up our hearts, right? And accepting divine guidance, right? Direction from source. So it's about your heart chakra, opening that up, right? And what happens is that when we start doing this, when we start opening up your heart, then you will start using your free will, right? It's like, this is free will. It's a decision that you made. So you feel like you're in power. You feel like you're driving the car again, but it's a whole different experience. It's not the ego that's driving the car. It is your higher self, right? It is this connection to the divine that is now guiding you, which is completely different. And it's going to make your life so much easier. I'll give you an example for myself, right? So about 4 years ago, my husband and I did not, actually it was a little more than that, 4.5 years ago, my husband and I were living in the suburbans, right? We had a beautiful house, we had the 2 vehicles, we had the good paying jobs, we had everything. But we weren't fulfilled, and we had this dream. We wanted to live in the outskirts. We wanted to live in the countryside. We wanted to create a homesteading lifestyle, a sustainable lifestyle. We wanted to have our big gardens. We wanted to have chickens, all this stuff, right? The whole thing. We wanted to have like land, right? We wanted the space. And we were very clear on that. And we were trying to sell our home. And we put it for sale, was it twice or 3 times? It was at least twice, okay? Yeah. And it didn't work out. It wasn't selling at all. And we were looking for houses in a certain area, and we're really like, that was our focus. We wanted to live there, and we just felt like that's where we needed to go. But nothing was happening. It wasn't happening. And then he came up to me one day and said, well, how would you feel about experiencing the Great North? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, because I was just approached, for a job offer, and it's in the Nunavik area. Now, I had never even heard of the Nunavik area. I knew like up north existed, but I didn't know anything about it, nor did I know much about the Inuit culture. And so this was like a huge, huge thing to consider. And my first reaction was, no, I'm not going to go and move my family, my two boys and everything up there. I mean, I don't know anybody. Can I trust that? No, I don't think I can. And so I had put an X on it, but he kept, bringing it back. And it's like something inside of me was guiding me to look more into it. So I started Googling Kuujjuaq, and I started Googling the Inuit culture. I started looking into how it would be and how it would feel. And sure enough, after a while, it just felt right. And so we sold everything. We just kept a few big pieces of furniture. We stored that, and off we went. And the funny thing is that my backyard was the tundra. So this space that I wanted, right, was there. And the funnier thing is that I had wanted to garden. Now, when I arrived up north, I knew I couldn't really make a garden out there. It was too cold. But sure enough, there were community greenhouses, and I was invited by one of my neighbors to be part of a group. And so I had fresh produce, right? I learned how to garden up north, which was like amazing. I experienced the things that I had envisioned, and I had to let go of how it was going to happen, right? And that's what trusting and surrendering does. It just brings you to where it is that you are meant to go. And if I would have forced things, if I would have said, no, I'm not going, we're still gonna try to sell the house, I wanna live in this area, this is where we were looking, then I would have missed out on 3.5 years of extraordinary life experiences. And my boys experienced so many beautiful things up there. And my husband did the fishing of his lifetime. Right? And so we all experienced the magic that the North had for us, and we were meant to go and experience that magic. But it's because I trusted and I surrendered and I let life guide me. And sure enough, just while we were making that decision, it took us about 2-3 months to really decide. And lo and behold, we kept running into people, these strangers we didn't even know, who just had happened to have lived in Kuujjuaq. And they kept saying, you need to go. It's going to be the experience of your life. This is going to be amazing. We kept getting these messengers that would cross our paths and just confirm. So following the breadcrumbs, and everything happened so easily and effortlessly. There was no issues, there were no problems. And sure enough, when we put our house up for sale that time, it sold. We didn't have a problem, but we did before when we were thinking of going elsewhere. So this is an example of what happens when you trust and you surrender. So for me, what I came to learn is that surrendering is about leaning into trust. It's about letting go of needing to know the how, right? The when, the if, all those things. That doesn't concern us, right? What we need to do is hold on to the vision, right? And feel what it is that we want to feel, what we want to desire. But what we desire to experience. And the more we do that, the more we're able to let go of this whole control issue of, well, how's it going to happen? When is it going to happen? What if it doesn't happen? Right? So you're able to let go of all that. And when you let go of that attachment, right, of is it going to happen? What happens if it doesn't happen, right? I have a lot of women that's like, yeah, but Julie, what happens if this project that I want to do doesn't work out? What happens if this podcast doesn't work out? What happens if this program, nobody buys this program? What happens if, this won't work out, this whole idea where I want to open up an animal refuge? What happens if, right? So what happens when you let go of the attachment to, if it's going to happen, right, to the outcome, is that you start letting go of the fear, right? This whole fear, if it will happen or not, right? When you let go of this whole outcome, needing to know if it's going to happen or not, it's like that fear just starts to dissipate, because you start trusting that no matter what happens, you're going to be guided wherever it is that you need to go, right? Because you have an intuition, right? And you have your higher self and you have source. You're always being divinely guided. And we tend to forget that, right? And the more we let go of this need to know if it's going to work out or not, the more we let go of the ego that is trying to drive the car all the time, right? The ego always wants to have the keys to the car, always wants to be in control. But the more you let go of the outcome, the more the ego doesn't have its place. It's going to get kicked out of the car altogether, right? The other thing that happens too is that when you let go of the outcome, because a lot of the times when we start worrying about, is it going to happen? What happens if it won't? I don't know. It's tied to our sense of self-worth, right? Am I worthy and deserving of receiving like so much joy and so much happiness and so much wealth and so much fulfillment, right? Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I'm not meant to deserve all that. I don't even know. And so the more you let go of this need, right, for this outcome, the more you're going to let go of this limiting belief about this whole self-worth issue. Because a lot of women, unfortunately, battle this type of limiting belief, right? So what I've come to see in a lot of women is that when they surrender, I see them. It's like their truest essence just comes out, right? And it is there to be witnessed and to be felt, because they're no longer trying to force something. They're no longer stressing about making it work. They're trusting now, and they are able to sit in their divine feminine energy and to trust it. Women are not made to hustle and bustle. We are not made for that. There is a divine masculine energy that is important to bring in, especially if you want to create a business for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are in let's say a high corporate job or whatever position. I mean, you need to have structure. If you're a mother of 3 kids, there needs to be structure, and that's the divine masculine. But we are not meant to experience life only in that energy. We are meant to flow in the divine feminine energy. That's where our intuition comes online. That's where our sensitivity comes online. That's when our nurturing abilities come online, our empathic abilities come online. This is where we're able to really turn on our GPS, right? And to really listen to this inner niggle and to honor it, and to start receiving all of these incredible divine gifts and guidance, right? The wisdom that comes in. That's what we're meant to do. This is how we are meant to experience life, right? And when you start surrendering, what you do is you allow life to move for you, right? You allow the universe to move things around for you so that it can become aligned, right? It's like you create space for magic to happen, right? For this incredible magic to just show up in your life, in all aspects of your life, right? So I'd love to know in the comments if this is resonating with all of you. How do you see yourself? Like, where are you when it comes to trusting and surrendering? Are you able to just let go, right? Let go of that grip, right? Or are you more prone to want to control, because you just don't feel safe, right? You're having a hard time just trusting that life will rearrange itself for you, that you always are divinely guided. I would love to know in the comments. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to tap into every life path number, okay, and give you all an affirmation, right, that is directly linked to the energy, to the frequency that you are experiencing right now. So if you're new to numerology, let me explain to you what a life path number is, okay? I actually call it your life path sequence, and I'll explain to you why. So in numerology, in your chart, you have core numbers. You have 3 core numbers, and I'm doing this because when I draw out your chart, when I'm deciphering, right, your chart, I'm always doing triangles and stuff like that. So imagine a triangle, right? And at the top here, at the pinnacle, it's your destiny number. And your destiny number is your highest potential. Okay, this is your zone of genius. This is who you came here to be. Now, in order for you to calibrate, right, to your highest potential, you have your life path number, right? And your life path sequence is the trajectory that you came here to experience. This is where most of your life lessons lie. This is where your shadows are, okay? Most of them, like 90% of them, okay? And so your life path sequence is very, very important for you to know, because if you don't understand what you came here to experience and to master, to overcome, then you'll always be living your life in the loop, right? You'll be re-experiencing things over and over and over again. I call it Groundhog's Day, right? It's a movie that exists in the 80s. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, right? The guy keeps reliving the same day over and over and over again, which is frustrating, right? So your life path number, you will find it by adding all of the numbers in your date of birth. And all you do is you put plus signs in between every number, add it up. And if you end up with a double digit, reduce it to one number. So for me, when I add up all of my numbers, I end up with 26. 26 is not a life path number, so I reduce it. So 2 plus 6 equals 8. And that's my sequence. See, I'm not a pure 8. I was 26 before. So my life path sequence is a 2, 6, 8, right? I need the 2, I need the 6 in order to create my 8. Okay, now if you add up all your numbers and you end up with a 10, an 11, a 22, 33, or 44, don't reduce it. Those are master numbers. Okay, so you hold on to those. Okay, and I have master numbers as well. So let's say you're like me, you have a life path sequence. Let's say you're 2, 6, 8. When I talk about the 2, I want you to listen. When I talk about the 6, I want you to listen and bring in that affirmation. And then when I talk about the 8, I want you to listen and bring in that affirmation as well. So it has everything to do with surrendering, with trusting. Okay, so these are affirmations that I just downloaded a few minutes before I started this live. Okay, so pause it if you need to, if you're watching the replay, so that you can write down the affirmations. And I want you to repeat these every day. Okay, like when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed at night, try to repeat them throughout the day and start to recode yourself, okay, when it comes to trusting and surrendering. So there is no life path 1, right? It's an automatic master number 10. So I'm going to start with life path 2. Okay, and I'd love to know in the comments which life path you are. If you're not sure about your calculations, let me know and I can help you. So if you're a life path 2 or a divine life path 20, because that can happen, here's your affirmation, and I wrote them down. I trust in my empathic abilities to guide me in my decision making. Okay. Life path 3 or divine life path 30, I trust that my message is someone's medicine. Okay. Life path 4 or divine life path 40, I trust I can be the magic in the chaos and bring stability in this world. Okay. Life path 5, I trust that my passion for life will guide me towards my destiny. Okay. Life path 6, I trust that my soul tribe will find me and that I will be able to create a new earth with them. Okay. Life path 7, I trust that I am capable of answering my own questions. Everything lies within me. Life path 8. I trust it is safe to claim all of my power and lead myself and others from that space. Life path 9. I trust that my integrity and love for humanity will create a huge impact. Master number 10. I trust in my ability to innovate and pave a new way for myself and for others. Life path 11, the master number 11. I trust that I'm always being guided by source to lead myself and lead others. Master number 22. I trust that my connection to source is the foundation for my success. Life path number 33, another master number. I trust my message will nourish someone's soul and allow her to see her beauty. And the last one, last but not least, master number 44. I trust that my love, compassion, and courage will create an infinite amount of sustainable change in this lifetime. Incredible. So make sure to pause, write down these affirmations, and repeat them. And this is going to help you learn how to trust so that you can surrender and really allow yourself to be guided when things are not unraveling the way you wanted them to unravel. Okay, when you are questioning yourself, when you are self-doubting yourself, when you're doubting humanity, when you're doubting your business, when you're doubting your relationships, right? So what happens next, right? What happens after you start to surrender, where you start to bring in that trust? What happens is that you'll know what to say and you'll know what to do when the time arises. It's like you will not try to control. You will just sit back and allow yourself to be guided. And when the time comes, you will know what to say and what to do. That's one of the things that's going to happen. You will see your fears, you'll see them, you'll be able to walk with them, right? But you won't allow them to control you anymore. Okay? So this fear of losing control, or this fear that it won't work out, or this fear of XYZ, it won't overwhelm you anymore, right? It won't stop you from continuing to allow yourself to be guided, right? The other thing that's going to happen is that you are going to love the idea of just doing that inner work, going into your inner temple and to really witness what needs to be witnessed, right? And to take a good look at it so that you can start making the changes that need to change, that need to happen, okay? The other one is that you're going to start to focus on what it is that you can control. And the two things that I've learned that I can control are, one, my intention, and two, my energy. And I have a master class. This is a self-study master course, actually. It's called Force Field. And it's all about how to become the CEO of your energy. If you're interested, I will put the link in the description. Go and take a look at it. It's yours for a lifetime. If you are working with these higher frequencies, if you are a light worker, if you are a way shower, if you're really working with the energies, you will need to have this. You will need to have these foundational teachings, because if not, you're going to end up energetically depleted. Okay, this is one of the things that I learned when I truly surrendered. I was guided 2-3 days later when I was crying. I was crying in my backyard. When that happened, 2-3 days later, I was guided to go into this esoteric health food type of store, and I saw that there was a workshop on energy healing that was happening, and I was guided to go. It all happened, it all aligned, and that woman became my mentor for several years. And I ended up going into a closed initiate school for mystics and sages, and that's where I learned ancient teachings on energy healing, on subtle energy. Right? And one of the first things that I learned is how to shield and protect myself, how to cleanse my auric field, how to ground myself, how to cut energetic ties. So these are things that I teach in Force Field, okay? If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer, okay? The other thing that happens when you start bringing in that trust and you start surrendering is that you allow the universe to deliver the path of least resistance, which is basically your highest path, right? Which is basically like your highest timeline. And that's where you do not feel depleted. You do not feel frustrated. You don't feel like you have to start all over again or all confused, because you've allowed the universe to just move things for you, right? So that you can just keep going forward and flow into the direction that you're meant to flow into. So hopefully this conversation has shed light on how to start surrendering and what surrendering is all about, and what to do when things are not turning out the way that you had planned them to do. Surrendering is extremely powerful, right? It's such a powerful way for you to navigate life, and I hope that this conversation has enlightened you and has helped you. And you have any questions, please let me know. You can either send me direct message through IG or Facebook, or you can write in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So I am so excited for October's frequency. I'm really excited. The energy is palpable, and this is all for us. It's happening all for us. We're all ascending, we're all expanding, so that we can actually show up in our brilliance and we can start being other people's medicine, so that we can create that ripple effect, right? So that they can create the ripple effect, and so on and so on. So thank you so much for joining me. And remember, if it's in your heart, it's in your chart. And on that, I'm sending you all so much love and so much light. Ciao for now.